right, so hello everyone. So this lecture is for grade 7 and 8 students who were struggling in pseudocodes. Okay, so basically we know that any pseudocode will always start with start. Okay, start. So this is something mandatory. No matter what, if you do not put this, there's a mark deduction on this. Okay, so your marks will be deducted. Okay, and I apologize at the very beginning for any sort of interruptions due to internet or due to any other complications. As you can see that it's frequently getting loaded, so the screen is getting loaded after some time, so just bear with me till the end. Okay, so what we are trying to do over here is, let's say we are trying to find the maximum and minimum. Okay, this is for grade 8 only. Grade 7 you can skip this for now. Maximum and minimum, but since we do not have any um, arrays, okay, we do not have arrays, sorting, searching, or even trace table. We don't have that. We just have a pseudocode. Okay, so how do we actually do this? So many of you were confused, so we will always start at over here. So remember something, that to get the maximum, what do we need? We need a series of numbers. Okay, we need to take input from the users. Okay, now generally we take these inputs in an array like this. Okay, let's say that this is an array. So this would be the array, and we can take input over here, say for an example 2, 3, 7, 5, and 13. Okay, so or maybe let's say let's delete that. Let's say let's make that 1. Okay, so what do we do here in general? In case of an array, we just take these numbers and then we assign one of these numbers as the maximum, and then we keep checking with the first one and the second one, that if the second one is larger than that, then at every single instant we are going to increase, or we're going to assign the maximum if the current maximum value is smaller than the next value. Okay, so let's say we are going to assign a value for total, because apparently we don't know what total is, and remember that assignment always is like this. Okay, or if you do not want any sort of confusion, okay, I'm also going to award you marks for using an equal sign, so that's fine. So total equals 0. Okay, then what do we have? We have a maximum and minimum. Okay, so let's put maximum is equal to uh, a very small number. Okay, we can put maximum to be 0, because I don't know what the first value is. Okay, because I haven't started to take any input over here. Remember this. Many of you were confused that what to do, but if it were an array, then we could have said that the first value is the minimum, but we're not using an array over here. Okay, there is no array here. We're just using a simple input and output. Okay, so yeah, so let's try to put over here end. Okay, now what do we need? We need max equal to 0 and minimum. Let's say we assign minimum to a very big number. Let's say 1000, or you can assign any number if you want. Okay, it doesn't matter. So we have assigned these two. These are called assignment, because we need to check it against a value, against a series of values. Okay, so now let's say this is total, and we are going to run a loop. Okay, so how far do we need the loop to be? How big, or how many times do I need to loop over? Okay, how many times do I need to take inputs from the user? That's what the question is, and that's where we are going to focus on. So we can just simply write it like this, that input, okay, input, and we can just simply write something like this, that enter number of loops. How many times do you want to loop over? And then we put a comma over here. Comma means what variable are you using to take this input in. Remember, I hope you all remember, okay, grade 7 and 8, both of you should remember this, that anytime we try to take an input, we need to register, right? Anytime, for example, you are participating in STEMFest program, right? So what do you want? You want your name to be enlisted over there, right? So how do you enlist your name? You need to write it on a piece of paper and then give it to me, and then I will put it into an Excel file, right? You need to register your name. Otherwise, I will not know who's performing and who is actually taking part in the STEMFest projects or project show display, right? So anytime, whenever I take an input, I have to put it inside a variable, and let's name the variable, this variable to be anything. Okay, it's up to you. I will name it A. Let's name it A. Okay, I'm just using my initial, so you can just use yours. Anything. It can be anything, literally anything. So let's just name it A. So variable A will be registering all the input from the user. Okay, now unlike last term, like grade 8, when you were in grade 7, you had a there was some mandatory conditions that you had to take inputs like this, but this time you can let it go. Okay, there is no such rules and regulations now that you are in grade 8. You can follow any convention, as long as, since I'll be uh, grading your paper, so as long as your logic is correct, as long as you can explain to me what's going on in there, you will get marks for that. Okay, for the pseudocode writing. Okay, that is whenever you are asked to write a pseudocode. Okay, so now what do we need to check? We need to run a loop from 0 till this number, right? So anytime we need to run a loop, then we need to use a for. We can use for, we can also use repeat, and both of these loops are different. I'll show you, and I'll just explain it to you how. Okay, so for 0, or we can just take anything. For I is a counter, okay? Or you can use a counter, like you can literally write a counter, okay? That's up to you. I'm not writing the full thing. You are allowed to write whatever variables you want here. It's up to you. If you want to write counter, go for counter. No, not a problem, okay? So for C, from where to where? From 0 to A. Now, many of you, if you have studied some other resources, you can also see, like, for I in between 0 to A, for I in 0 to A, whatever logic you find or whatever pseudocode you can accumulate from anywhere else, it's up to you. Okay, as long as it is explaining to me what's going on in here, it's fine. It's like an algorithm. You're just supposed to write an algorithm, but it comes with the syntax. Understand? Okay. All right. So I hope that's understandable. Now, what we need to do is we're running the loop. So imagine that this is actually going to ask something, and we are going to ask it till a certain point. Okay, we'll do that later on. Now, what do we need to do? For this number of repetitions or iterations. Okay, if you ever see the word iteration, iteration means loop. I explained it in the class, but apparently 90% of you were not listening. So again, iteration means loop. Okay, so please do make sure that you practice this, and if you don't understand, contact me instantly and I'll re-explain it to you in any other format. Okay, all right. Okay, now what do we need to do here? We are going to take an input of numbers. Okay, input of numbers. So we can again take an input, that input and let's say we're writing enter a value. Okay, now everyone, please do listen and please do take note of this. Whatever you write here, or even if you choose to just take an input normally, if you want to take an input normally, like input A, input B, it's totally up to you. You can write just like you practiced that on your own, that output enter a number of loops. That's totally up to you. Okay, there are multiple versions of the same input syntax. As long as you're taking input perfectly, I don't have any problem with it. Okay, again, whatever you write here, it's totally up to you. That's up your wish, whatever you want to do. Okay, now let's say let's see what can we do here. So we are going to take an input value. So let's say b. Okay. Now what do we need to do? We need to check if b is greater than the maximum value. Okay, is b greater than the maximum value? So now we're going to check. Remember, it has to be inside this for loop. It has to continue till the end of a. Okay, till the point it reaches a number of inputs. Okay, so now we're going to check if b is somehow, you can write is greater than, or you can simply write is greater than like this, the symbol, and this is greater. Whichever size or whichever side or whichever variable faces this side, it is the greater sign. Understand? I know you were saying yes, so it's fine. All right, so b greater than what? B greater than maximum. If anything is greater than the maximum, if I say that the maximum value for this is 10, that means anything